Stephen Bardo joins us, and every week you go to btn.com and you put out your power rankings, basically saying the top 5 teams, right?
Oh, I do 1 through 12.
You go through 12, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think for right now, I don't know how many we're about to show right now, but I know that at the top 5, there's going to be some people watching at home right now. They're going to break their televisions, pick off their shoes, and throw it at you. Explain your rankings here and what this means.
Well, I think the top 3 are pretty self-explanatory. Some could nitpick between Michigan State and Michigan, but I like Northwestern. In my power rankings, I look at who's playing well right now, and not necessarily what's happened a month ago, what the schedule is, who's playing well right now. And so when you look at that, the question was, why did Wisconsin drop so far, and why is Ohio State currently in their position? And so I think Northwestern, 3 in a row on the road, doing what they've done, overcoming what they've been able to do. Chris Collins, Drew Crawford, now Big Ten Player of the Week, Oscar Robertson, National Player of the Week. I think they deserve a lot of credit. And Wisconsin, I don't think they've lost 3 in a row in the Kohl Center ever since the Kohl Center has been built. They are reeling. They've lost games with lack of defense, and they've lost games recently with lack of offense. Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker are 5 of 30 combined in the last 2 games, 0 of 9 from 3. So this is a team that has some issues right now, and that's why I had the rankings where they were.
So that's what people should remember when they look at this, is you see the 12-11 record,
right,
way above the 17-5 and another 17-5. That's
right.
Not the point. Your point is right now,
yes,
who's playing the best.
Yeah, I try to give a snapshot of this week, who's looking really good, who's moved up, who's gone down, who's steadied themselves a little bit. And I just thought that Ohio State going into Madison, winning at the Kohl Center, even though Wisconsin's down, that's still a very difficult place to go get a win. I think I saw something in that game. I saw something at the end of even them losing to Penn State at home. I saw something in Ohio State that they may just turn the ship.
Well, tell me a little more about this Northwestern team, because I know we talked on our Thursday show about a disagreement. If I had a vote right now for Coach of the Year, I'd go John Beilein, considering what he's done. You were saying you'd go Chris Collins because of what he's done. How come? What is it about this Wildcat team?
Well, when you look at Michigan, they've got 2 pros right now. They've got Nick Stauskas and Glenn Robinson III that they can count on. They've got an All-American point guard from high school in Derek Walton Jr. They've got a tremendous wing play in Karis LeVert. When you look at Northwestern, what did they have coming back? They had Drew Crawford coming off of an injury, and they had Jershawn Cobb, who was out last season. That's pretty much it. There was nobody coming through the door that was going to be the savior for Chris Collins. And when you look at the fact that these guys were recruited to play in a Princeton-like system under Carmody, they have totally revamped the system. They are much tougher. They are more cohesive. And Trey Demps was a lost player before Chris Collins showed up on campus. He looks like the 6th man of the year right now in the conference. So all things point to Chris Collins and his imprint on that program.
And I think Northwestern is sort of a good microcosm of what's happening in the Big Ten this year, which is at maybe more than anything, the last 3 weeks. Because as we sat in the middle of January, it seemed clear-cut that there were the bad teams, there were the middle teams, and there were the very, very good teams. And now over the last 3 weeks, Stephen, I mean, it's just for them, with exception of basically those top 3 teams, everybody else, you can just throw them in a pot and mix them up right now.
You can. And the funny thing is that at Big Ten Media Day, John Gross and Fran McCaffrey both stood up on the podium and said, this is the best the conference has ever been top to bottom. They talked about Nebraska and Penn State getting better. And I thought, yeah, these guys are really good. And yeah, they like to talk up the conference and everything, but look at what's happening. And now Nebraska's lost 1 at home, and they had a chance to beat Michigan on a last-second tip-in. Penn State's won 3 in a row. They go into Columbus where they hadn't won since gas was 60 cents. I mean, these records and streaks that we've seen for so long are now going by the wayside, and these teams, Northwestern, Penn State, Nebraska, are much better this year.
So how do you prove that that means the conference is good? Because the argument when you see parity is either look how great they are, that the good teams are not good enough to be able to beat the bad teams because the bad teams are pretty good, versus, well, if the good teams were really good, they'd be beating the bad teams.
Well, you can look at national statistics and how people look at the conferences. So let's look at the Jeff Sagarin rating. The Big Ten is number 2 in the country behind the Big 12. I give it up to the Big 12. They've got 5 legitimate teams in the top 25. They have a lot more pros in the Big Ten. So my nod would go to the Big 12. But right after them is the Big Ten. Sagarin ratings, conference RPI, the Big Ten is number 2. KenPom.com, there are 7 Big Ten teams in the top 50 in KenPom.com. That's as much as any other conference in the country. Those are 3 ratings systems that people use nationally to determine the strength of conference. And Big Ten is number 2 in all 3 of those.